What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I'm feeling like 100 grand.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Weiss here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs and leaders. Today is no different. I have Adam Viener, who started Imwave.com and Yazing.com, which we'll talk further about. And Adam, I always like to point out other episodes people should check out of the podcast. And since this is part of the top agency series, even though we're going to talk about why they're not a typical agency, which I'm excited to talk about, I had Jason Swank on. Jason talked about how he built up his agency to over 8 figures and sold it. And then now we did a separate episode on how they're buying agencies as well and how they're evaluating them. That's an interesting episode. Todd Taskey's always a great guest. And I love his podcast, the Second Bite podcast. He actually pairs agencies with private equity. And sometimes he has found that they make more on the second bite than the first, when that private equity sells again. So that's an interesting episode. Again, talking about the valuation of agencies. And Adi Clevitt, that was a good one. We kind of geeked out on, Adam, our favorite software and tools and technology that we like to use, and from a productivity perspective. And she really helps people document their SOPs. She goes into a company and she's a done for you, easy solution to do that. So she's always a fun guest as well. Check those out and more on InspiredInsider.com. This episode is brought to you by Rise25. And at Rise25, we help businesses give to and connect to their Dream 100 relationships and partnerships. And how do we do that? We actually help you run your podcast. We are an easy button for a company to launch and run a podcast. We do strategy, accountability, and the full execution of launching and running a podcast. Adam, we call ourselves the magic elves that kind of work in the background to make everything happen. That's what we do. And, for me, the number one thing in my life is relationships. I'm always looking at ways to give to my best relationships. I found no better way to do that than profile the people and companies I most admire and share with the world what they're working on. So if you've thought about podcasting, you should. If you have questions, go to rise25.com to learn more. I formed some of my best friendships and relationships through podcasting. So I love it. And without further ado, Adam Viener, I mentioned, is founder of Imwave and Yazing.com. Adam has a really interesting background, and he has over 25 years of experience in the internet marketing world. He co-founded one of the first internet access companies in 1993, Cyberia, sold Cyberia in 1998, and he continued to manage the acquiring company's direct and online marketing efforts. And in 2003, he launched Imwave. And this was to leverage his expertise in PPC, search engine, keyword advertising, to help clients benefit from what he knew and what he helped people with growing high profitable new form of targeted promotion. And Imwave, he'll do a better job explaining it, but it's one of the leading performance search engine marketing agencies in the industry. And it focuses primarily on building and launching effective search engine marketing campaigns. Some of the accolades from Imwave is it acquired a competitor in 2008, which we may talk about. They're recognized in Inc. magazine's list of fastest growing companies 6 times. And it's not easy to do it once or twice, because you have to continue the growth, to continue to make, if people don't know, they can look it up, to get on Inc. magazine's list of fastest growing companies. So do it 6 times is really difficult. And I just chose a random year here. In 2009 alone, they generated over 58 million in sales for clients, and they've displayed over 4 billion ads and delivered over 96 million website visitors for clients. So, Adam, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
So many things to dig into here, but let's talk about Cyberia for a second. Early on, we're talking 93. I don't even know what existed in 93. Was there even an internet connection? But
not much.
What did Cyberia do, and what was the idea behind Cyberia?
So Cyberia was, we were based in York, Pennsylvania at the time, and Cyberia was the area's first commercial bulletin board system. So people would dial in with their modem, they would chat with people, leave emails, and it was a local community bulletin board system. Had started with 6 lines so that all 6 people could chat with each other. And it just kind of grew. And as our business grew, the internet started coming around. I think Mosaic came out in 1995. And our customers, they started to want internet email and then internet web access, and we just kind of morphed into the area's first commercial ISP, probably one of the first ones in Pennsylvania. And it just kind of grew from there based on, just following the customers and what they wanted.
We'll talk about that kind of the evolution, because then you started Imwave, but you were helping Cyberia at the time, like let's say around 98. You were managing their online marketing efforts. What were you doing at that time online?
So Cyberia, we sold in 1998 to a company it was a regional ISP that was in the process of going into a roll-up called onemain.com. So they were going to be one of the initial 19 ISPs acquired. They wanted to beef up their share of that roll-up, and they acquired us, just before that happened. And then that business, they went public on day one, finalized the acquisition of the 19 rural ISPs, and then bought another 17, rolled them all up together, and ended up selling to Earthlink. So that was the process. I moved from Pennsylvania to Northern Virginia to be part of onemain.com's national marketing group. I was the director of marketing for the East Coast. And then I left shortly after the Earthlink acquisition.
Looking back at that time, knowing what you know now, would you have done things the same with Cyberia?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Cyberia was at a tricky inflection point in Pennsylvania where we were a dial-up ISP. I think Pennsylvania had a pretty progressive cable company, and they launched one of the area's first cable modem, cable internet service, and we saw the speed that they were offering. We looked around at what it would take for us to be able to match that kind of speed, and it wasn't going to be very feasible or profitable for us, not being a cable company that had access to all the homes. Certainly there were ways to do business access and direct lines and that kind of stuff. But we were very consumer focused. We did some company websites and things like that. But we saw the writing on the wall with the speeds they were offering. And I think 98 was a perfect time for us to exit the business that we built and move on to the next phase.
You firsthand experienced a roll-up, and in theory, it seems really good. I'm wondering in practice if it's just as good as in theory. Like, rolling up a bunch of companies, it increases the value of everyone, and selling it. What did you experience firsthand with that I don't know was good, and maybe some things if someone's considering a roll-up now, what they should think about carefully?
So I think a roll-up is a good opportunity for an exit strategy for companies that otherwise wouldn't be able to do it on their own. You're turning a bunch of smaller companies into something big very quickly. I think if you look at the trajectory of a bunch of the roll-ups, they shoot up and then they shoot down and they get acquired. I mean, that's kind of been, every time I looked at what's happened in the past with these things before going into it, that's kind of what I saw. For us, we weren't actually part of the roll-up in that we sold our business for cash to a company that was going to be. So as a founder, I wasn't involved in any of the lockup period or any of that kind of stuff. So for me, it was okay. I think the other founders who had the lockup period, I mean, those lockup periods are there for a reason, to make sure that the founders don't sell out before everyone else has a chance to sell out, like the banks and everything else. So I think a lot of people see the writing on the wall of what's going to happen with the stock price. So I think you need to understand that going into it, to understand what your value is and what you will actually be able to get out of it. It's also a tough environment for founders to thrive in. Most of the founders got pushed out. I think I was one of the last founders. I'm not even sure they considered me one because I was acquired before that. But when Earthlink acquired us, my start date actually predated Earthlink, so it was kind of weird.
When you started Imwave, I want to kind of hear about the evolution of the products and services of Imwave. When you started Imwave, what was the initial idea? What were you offering?
So it's an interesting story about how I got into that. Initially in 2001, I had an idea for Imwave where we were developing software that would help people, close their abandoned shopping cart via text messages. Crazy idea. We started working on that. And then in July of 2001, I was diagnosed with leukemia. So I got thrown for a loop there. I went through two rounds of chemotherapy. Each was 40 days in the hospital. And when luckily I got better. And that's the good news. I realized after that I needed to find a job with health insurance and no pre-existing condition clauses. Going through that and having been in a situation where the health insurance it wasn't quite where it needed to be. I was lucky with the timing period. I was able to get continuation coverage. Otherwise, I would have gone through that totally uninsured, and that would have bankrupted my family and would have put us in a very hard place. So I didn't want to take any more chances with that, and that's how I ended up working at Network Solutions. While I was at Network Solutions, I was hired as a product manager. I was in charge of their website business. They have a service where you can easily build your own website that predated companies like Wix and some of these other drag and drop solutions for websites, and that's what they had. And while I was doing that, I renegotiated a bunch of the hosting contracts. Realized they were vastly overpaying for the hosting services. Saved them a couple $100,000, and as a reward, they gave me $1,000 debit card as a bonus. And right around that time, we were talking to Google about how we could promote Google AdWords to our website clients. We had a partnership there, and I needed to figure out how AdWords worked, but I didn't have anything to market. So I went to the affiliate team there and I said, look, I've been a member of the affiliate program since the Cyberia days. I need to figure out something to market. How about I use some of this $1,000 and market Network Solutions and see if we can't both win in that scenario and learn how AdWords work. So I plugged the $1,000 debit card into Google, started bidding on a few keywords, mostly around misspellings and typos. And I found that I was making a 300% return on my investment on a per click basis. And I thought that was really interesting. For me, what I loved about it is, coming from the ISP days of customer support and 24/7 support, I could just focus on marketing, driving clicks, and get paid a commission when things convert. Yes, I'm taking the risk on the advertising spend, but if I can put in $1 and get 3 out, how many dollars can I find to throw into this thing was the scenario. So, I came home over the weekend and my wife and I started banging out different keyword combinations for all the different products. And at one point I was typing in some of this stuff blindfolded just to see what keys I would hit for the fat finger combinations. I came up with a keyword list about 300,000 terms and launched it. And all of a sudden, I'm now one of their top affiliates in the program. I'm actually was driving more search volume than their small internal search team at the time. And things got a little bit hairy at work. They wanted me to turn over my keyword list and all this other stuff. And at this point, I'm starting to make more money through this than they're paying me in my job. And, I told them, hey, I need to keep this separated. If you want to talk about the affiliate stuff, you'll have to talk to my wife. But I'm not turning over my keyword list. So once we closed on our house, we had downgraded when I was sick, our home to kind of circle the wagons. Bought a new home where the affiliate revenues weren't going to be as good as the W-2 revenues that they wanted to see for the mortgage. And shortly after we closed on the mortgage, we decided we could run this business full time. And if it worked for Network Solutions, there are a lot of companies that have affiliate programs that it could work for. And that's kind of how it started. It was all off that $1,000 debit card. We've never taken any outside money. It's all been growing from there. So we've made the Inc. 5000 list with 6 times off that $1,000 debit card, and we'll hit it again with like next year's income for the 7th time. And there are really only 5 of us in the company, and we've really leveraged technology in order to make this happen.
I want to talk about, and why you're not a typical agency in what you do, but I want to circle back to leukemia for a second, and how that maybe changed your mentality going forward. What were the initial? Because that's really scary, right? I mean, you're in the hospital, and it's just a scary thing to hear someone walk in and tell you. What were some of the initial symptoms you were experiencing before you got checked out?
It was crazy. One day I'm working out in the gym. The next day I had a nosebleed that wouldn't stop. And I went into the emergency room, and after 24 hours being there, I've been trying to figure it out. They finally took a CBC test and diagnosed me. And I was in the hospital from that day straight through the first round of chemotherapy. And then I was off for about a month or two, and then went straight back in for a second round to get it all cleared up. So, yeah, I mean, there weren't any symptoms, unfortunately. So it was weird. One day you're feeling fine, the next day
that's scary.
You're done. Yeah.
When they came in to tell you, was it like an optimistic tone? Was it how were they relaying how it has progressed?
That's a good question. I don't remember that well. It had been a rough 24 hours. I think when you look back, I think it's harder on the family than it is on the patient. I mean, it sucks to be a patient too. I mean, there's a lot involved with that. But for me, I had one simple job. I had to sit there and take the chemo and try and get better. My wife was dealing with our 2 families. We had two young kids at the time. It's a lot of work on the family and a lot of stress to keep managing everything else that's going on in your lives while your husband's sitting in the hospital. And she was there every night, and my parents and then her parents came in and helped with the kids. I mean, it was great, but it's hard. Really hard.
It's hard with someone not being sick, right? I mean, with kids, everything. So you had something like that on, and it's really difficult. How did that change your mentality going forward in life or business in general?
For me, I've always been one to focus on the future and not look back too much. I think it gave me a perspective of what was important, spending time with my family, not sitting in an office all day. I started, number one, first of all, covering the health insurance and figuring that out and making sure that my family could survive was number one. And then, quickly finding out, how do I restructure things so I'm not sitting in an office all day and I can be around for my kids and have the flexibility to do the things that I want to do with them.
Talk about, so I mentioned you're not a typical agency, right? So you start off and you're driving traffic and for one company from an affiliate perspective. Talk about the evolution of then what do you do after that?
So that model has held up throughout time. So what we call a performance marketing agency, we pay for all the advertising. We take all the risk. If something doesn't convert, we'll lose money. If it converts, we make money. And that can be tricky as conversion rates change and competition changes in the search space. The cost per clicks go up. We've had to develop our own technology that helps us track and manage the value for every click and determine what the bid prices should be to make sure that we can continue to be profitable on those search campaigns. Otherwise, we'd be losing money. And a lot of times when we start a new client, we'll lose money for the first 3 months. We figure out what works and weed out the things that don't work. Is a huge part of it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that just isn't profitable based on the commission rates that we're being paid. So we need to make sure that, we're coming in at a decent commission rate, understand what their average order values are for our clients and the conversion rates, and see, what is a reasonable starting cost per click to test something out to see if it's going to work or not.
Yeah, like I mentioned, you're not a typical agency, but you have large brands as clients. And
correct.
Talk about, you don't have to talk specific numbers, but how does the arrangement typically work? Because you're, again, spending your own money on these campaigns.
Right. So we're typically considered a publisher through their affiliate program. And, affiliates get a bad rap sometimes. There are a lot of different types of affiliates in the affiliate marketing space. For us, we're using the affiliate platform as a tracking mechanism so that we can pass a unique ID with every click and know that for the most part, that if something converts in a sale, we're going to get credit for it and we're going to get paid for it. So it's easier for us to develop our platform, which we call BidMiner. It's easier for us to develop BidMiner through the APIs of the large affiliate networks and deal with each network's tracking technology and their reporting then to do it one at a time for every brand, through any kind of individual tracking program they might have. So for new clients, we need to make sure that they're in one of the large affiliate networks that we're currently operating through.
How do you choose, right? Because I don't know if anyone really says, no, we don't want you working with us, Adam. It seems kind of like a no-lose situation for them. You're spending your own money if you don't make money. So I don't know if you get people like, yeah, we don't really want to do this, or they're already agreed to it. But how do you choose what companies you want to work with?
That's a good question. And if all of our conversations were with the CFOs of the companies, that would be the response that we would get, because there is no risk then. Unfortunately, a lot of our conversations are either with the affiliate manager who's managing that affiliate program, and there are other people involved. If you got the search agency the brand may have hired, their internal search team. There are a lot of players in the mix who don't typically understand exactly what we do and how it's incremental and how it doesn't affect their internal search efforts. In the old days, we would go into the affiliate network, we'd check off a box to join a program, and we would test it. We wouldn't even have to have a conversation because nobody cared. They just wanted the sales, right? Now it's a lot more of a discussion. We discuss with the client how we operate, how we're not going to go in and bid on their trademarks, how we're going to work with them to figure out what are the negative keywords we need to add in and make sure the search engines don't try and show us on specific trademark terms. So we go through that process to make sure everyone's comfortable. Sometimes we'll have a call with their agency. So it's become much more of a collaborative approach. And there are a lot of companies that say no because either their agency tells them no, and the affiliate manager says no, the agency said no. It happens a lot more than you think. or there's just a general misunderstanding or mistrust of affiliates in general, and we get lumped into that mix, unfortunately.
So, because there's not many reasons to say no, but you're saying maybe the agency they're working with, they say no because they're worried that maybe you're going to drive up their costs if they're driving traffic, right? And they're thinking what you're going to do is going to affect what they're currently doing.
Correct. There's that, and I think there's also a perception with internal search teams or agencies that if someone else is able to drive a sale via search that they didn't get, then are they not doing what they're supposed to be doing? And that perception is just not reality. The type of terms that the agency is going to be managing for a brand with the budgets they're provided are completely different than the type of terms we're going to be going after. And because we're driving traffic directly, our traffic lands on the brand site directly. That means that Google, we're both using the same display URL, and Google's only going to show one of our ads on any query. So if they're already running an ad there, at the value that we're able to, the bid prices that we're able to bid on based on our commission rates and stuff, we're just not going to be trumping their ads in those scenarios. So we're really only showing up on terms they're just not on. And since the pre-auction happens that way and only one ad shows, our ads don't affect their final cost either because we get dropped out before the costs are determined.
Because there is a misconception, Adam, we were talking about this before we hit record, which is, let's say a company has a large budget and they feel like they're covering everything with that large budget.
Yeah.
Then what do you tell those type of companies? Like, they're like, no, Adam, we got it all covered. We're spending hundreds of thousands or whatever they're spending.
We hear that a lot. We've worked with brands who have had, 30 people running internal search for them. That's 30 salaries, plus the cost for the advertising. They say we have everything covered in search. But what happens is, you still have a budget and you may have a lot covered in search, but there's still a long tail of search terms that just probably aren't being covered. And if you do have it covered, then we don't find anything and you don't pay anything because you're only paying us if we generate sales. So there's no skin off your back to let us try. So we'll try and say, hey, well, let's do a small test. Let's do a small test in a certain geography so you can watch your internal metrics to make sure that what we do doesn't affect your ads. We'll do whatever we can to try and get them to understand and let us prove that what we do can drive incremental sales. And most of the times we're able to find pockets of keywords that they're not on that convert, usually in the long tail. A lot of these agencies and intern teams are using tools that charge them per keyword to manage bid prices. So to have a term that has 5 clicks a month, but one of those is a conversion, isn't economical for an agency. And for us, we'll take 1,000 of those terms all day long because that's our bread and butter.
Do you, when you're sending traffic, do you have them or do you create some kind of custom landing page? Or are you sending it to a page on their site? Because I feel like, you're spending a lot of money. I'm sure you want it optimized as much as possible so that someone is either taking the action you want them to take, or whether it's a sale or an opt-in of an email. How do you manage the creative part?
So 9 times out of 10, we're driving the traffic direct to their site through the affiliate links. That's what allows our traffic to be incremental and not affect their internal prices. If we had a landing page, that would mean we'd have a different display URL, and then our efforts would show up. And we have some brands that have come to us and say, hey, we really want that. We want to take up an extra space on some of these terms that are competitive, and some of our competitors are there. And they've either had us build a landing page or have helped us build a landing page, typically using their brand term, so it's an offshoot of theirs and it looks like them, because at the end of the day, we're not advertising Imwave, we're advertising the client. So we don't want to put up anything that's going to reduce the conversion rate. We don't do any email marketing, so we're not capturing email addresses and building email lists. And some people think that we're leaving a lot of money on the table by not doing that. And they're probably right, but that's just not our business model. Our technology tracks the individual keywords and then automatically expands those terms into the long tail based on the queries that it's finding. So we're able to set up a campaign and our system grows it for us. And so we drive the traffic direct because we're marketing them. We're not marketing us. And at the end of the day, it's their clients. We're getting paid an upfront commission rate. And in some cases, the lifetime value of the customer is theirs, and we're not capturing a lot of that based on the commission terms. It'd be nice if we were, but that's just not the way most affiliate programs are set up.
Yeah. I ask so when you get paid when someone buys, or what's the action? Yeah. That's not easy.
Each brand has their own terms. So it's what is a conversion for that brand? You may have one brand that pays on a percentage of sale. You may have one brand that pays a different percentage of sale based on if it's a new client or existing client. You have brands who pay on a per lead basis. You have brands who pay in the travel space on the stay, right? So you may get a booking for a hotel room now, and then if they don't stay for 3 months, it doesn't turn into a commissionable payment until 3 months, and then it may be another 3 months until after that we actually see the money. So there are some cases where we're fronting quite a bit of money in order to, based on the trust that we have with our partners and the long-term relationships that we're building.
Yeah, because there's a lot of factors that you don't have control over in this whole scenario, right?
Right.
So I imagine you don't work with people. I imagine if you look at their page and you're like, I don't even see how someone they hit this is going to convert. I don't know. Do you give suggestions to the company on the kind of conversion rate optimization things for the site, or are they pretty much you're only working with companies that have that dialed in?
Well, we prefer to work with companies that have that dialed in. If we see something and we're talking to the brand or the brand's outsourced agency contact for their affiliate program, we'll mention that. We typically ask them what conversion rates they're seeing up front and their AOVs. So if we multiply the AOV and the conversion rate and our commission rate, we get a break-even cost per click. If that's low, we won't even touch it. If it's decent, where we think we have room to be able to bid on stuff, then we'll run a test and see if we can get it to work. But the truth is, some brands just don't work. Some aren't tracking all the sales. The affiliate tracking technology has changed over time, where cookies have been deprecated for the most part. So technologies have changed, and quite frankly, a lot of the affiliate networks, they may track 80% of the sales, and they're okay with that. But if they were a credit card company that was only capturing 80% of the sales, that wouldn't be acceptable.
I want to talk about, you help a lot of different genres. There was a large hotel company. I want to talk about that for a second, but it almost seems like a no-brainer, right? Like, why wouldn't someone want to work with you? Who should be contacting you? If someone's listening, maybe they have partner opportunities. What kind of companies should be contacting you?
Any company that has an established affiliate program in the major affiliate networks like Commission Junction, Carousel, Rakuten, Impact Radius. We work with about 7 or 8 different affiliate networks. So if you have an established affiliate program through one of the major networks, we can work with you. That's the prerequisite. Our technology pulls in all the daily transactions from those networks and allows us to pass our unique click IDs with every click, so that we can identify what's working and what's not. So that's the prerequisite. So if you're an affiliate manager or you're an owner of a company that has an established affiliate program, then that reach out to us and we can start a conversation.
Are there any niches you don't do?
Yeah. So for us, it's making sure that the search engines allow the niches, right? So, our ads will get shut down if you're for advertising anything with firearms and things like that. So, I mean, if the brand's not able to run their own ads in Google and Bing, then we're probably not going to be a fit. Um, some brands are harder to run in search than others, and we're happy if we have a good contact, to get the right permissions in place with our Google accounts to make sure that we can run those campaigns. We're happy to go through the effort, for a good brand to make that happen. But typically, if their ads are getting disapproved by Google, then we're not interested.
Talk about, just people can understand a little bit deeper from a large hotel company standpoint, how that worked.
So we've worked with a number of large hotel companies that have hotels all around the world. And for us, we've had scenarios where, at one point the brand wanted to test with us, but they wanted to only have us run in certain hours because their current marketing budget was running out, and they found it was most effective for their conversion rate and profitability to advertise during the day, but they didn't want to give up everything at night. They just didn't want to use their marketing budget on it. So they came to us, and we've done that. That quickly grew into an understanding that ours didn't affect their stuff, and allowed us to run internationally. We've had other hotel companies say, "Hey, we only want you to run in certain markets. So we want you to run in Italy or Germany, but we don't want you to run in the U.S." We try and work with companies to understand what they're doing and what they're comfortable with, and help them understand that what we're doing is incremental and it is going to drive up their costs. But sometimes, you have to niche it out to prove that to them before they'll open up the full opportunity. The tricky part, as I said, with some of the hotel companies, we've worked with companies where, one hotel company, it's from booking to stay is typically an average of 7 days. We've had others where it can be 7 months, and it's a little bit harder for us. But if we're seeing good conversion rates, we'll fund a campaign knowing that it's going to take that long to get paid if it's profitable.
I'm curious how you decided on pricing. Because it seems like you are taking a huge risk with each campaign that you do. I'm curious why. I don't know if you ever charge an upfront setup fee or anything. Why you decided on, basically, it seems like it's just you're taking the risk and you'll get the reward. Did you ever play around with different pricing models?
There are occasions where we have some brands that our model is just not profitable for us to keep running, but it's still generating sales for them, and they still want those sales. But we've gone in and we've said, we're going to need a media contribution of X, and we'll spend some of your money towards that. So we have some clients where we've done that, or they'll come to us and say, "Hey, we really want you on these terms as well," and they're more head terms that don't have a conversion rate that would be profitable for us, and we'll have them fund those campaigns. But 99% of the stuff we do, we're taking 100% of the risk on. And for us, it's testing a bunch of stuff to see what's going to work and what's not. We've had brands in the same industry where one brand converts and the other one doesn't, right? So one's profitable for us, the other's not profitable. The tricky part is often that, from a brand's perspective, their affiliate manager is seeing sales come in, but they don't see our costs. So they may say, "Hey, you just drove, $10,000 worth of sales for us this week. This is great." And I look at it and say, that's great, but you got,
we spent $9,500 on it.
No, you got $10,000 in sales. I got 10% commission, right? So I made $1,000 in commissions. I paid $1,200 for those sales, and this isn't working for me. But they're seeing, this is great. You're driving traffic, we're driving sales. A lot of times they don't see that. The other thing we get all the time, which drives me crazy, is in the affiliate space, there's a general mistrust of affiliates, right? So so you're dealing with that. Plus, they'll have different commission rates. So the commission rate you see in affiliate network for a brand is typically their base rate, and it's not typically not even close to their top rate of what they're willing to pay for a sale. And a lot of times they'll say to us, "Hey, we'll start you off with the base rate, and if you prove yourself, we're gonna increase your commission." And we just won't even start a campaign like that because there's no room to find profitable keywords at the base commission typically, right? And if we find a bunch of stuff that loses money, our system's just going to shut it off. And when they come back to us 2 months later and say, "Hey, we could have paid you twice as much," it's a lot harder to go back and say, "Okay, well, if we had been paid that, this keyword would be profitable. So bid this." It just doesn't work. So we say, "Okay, give us your top commission rate for a test period of 3 months. Understand that we're going to lose money in the first 3 months as we throw money at this stuff and start weeding out the things that don't convert for us and turn those off. So we'll lose money in the first month. We'll start finding things that are profitable and earning it back in the second, and hopefully become profitable in the third." That's our model. So we typically ask for a 3-month test period and start us off at your highest rate. If it's not working for you at the end of that 3 months, then we can talk about lowering it. It's a lot easier for us to lower our bids than to try and increase them after we've already lost, a couple $1,000s.
Yeah, it seems like a no-brainer, Adam, to be honest. I mean, you're taking all the risk, essentially.
It should be a no-brainer. But at the end of the day, there are turf wars. Again, if we're talking to the CFO, 100%. And all of our revenue should be considered cost of goods sold because we only get paid if there's a commission, right? But I can't tell you how many times we'll get a no. The search engine, the agency said no. Okay, I mean they just shut the door, or they'll say, "Oh, we're out of budget, and you have to turn off your campaign. We'll have a successful campaign, and we'll have to turn it off." We were working with the Gap once, and in Q4 they came to us and said, "We have to turn everything off because we're out of budget." So, in the busiest time of the year, one of the most popular brands in the world decides they're going to shut off their affiliate program because their marketing budget done, and this is falling under the marketing budget, and they're just out. So
yeah,
turn off sales. We can't afford it.
It seems a bit counterintuitive because if there's a profitable campaign, then like you did in the beginning, you just want to put as many dollars into the campaign and get more out. So there's no real budget there, it seems like to me, if it's profitable.
There should not be. And for us, there's not. I mean, we'll throw as much money as we can at a profitable campaign. We just had a client the other day who made us turn off because the increase was so big they didn't believe it. We started at a $10 budget. It's for a small campaign to see if this stuff would even convert at all. We went up to a couple $100 and it increased a lot, and then we took the cap off because it was working, and all of a sudden whoa. So I don't know. We see a lot of crazy stuff, but again, if at the end of the day we were talking to the CFO or the owners of the businesses, you're right. It should be a no-brainer, and it is a no-brainer. But working through the powers that be to convince them, a lot of times the affiliate managers that we have to end up talking to are pretty low on the totem pole in these companies, and aren't given the respect of the job that they have, or the amount of effort that it takes to manage the affiliate program, and the hundreds or thousands of affiliates they're working with, and they're all different. You have an affiliate like us who's doing search. You have an affiliate like Yazing that we'll talk about later that's more influencer monetization and cashback, loyalty type stuff. They're all different, but we all get lumped together because at the end of the day, we're all using the same tracking platform to get a commission on a sale.
I want to talk about Yazing in a second, but a lot of times I find through the interviews, there's a lot of different ways for growth, right? There's organic growth. There's also growth through acquisition. And you acquired a competitor in 2008. Yep. How did that process work?
So back at that time, search was a lot bigger part of the affiliate networks than it is today. A lot of these companies haven't built the technology they need to ensure their profitability going forward. And as costs and competition increased, things became a lot less profitable. But at one point, there were 6 of us that really were driving the bulk of the search traffic. And we came together to talk about a potential roll-up scenario where we become one large company. I think when we put the numbers together, it would have been over $100 million company at that time. But at the end of the day, everyone thought the technology they had was the best, that their valuations were high, and no one wanted to run the company. So, the guy I had brought in to help, pull all the numbers together, said, you got about a 2% chance of pulling it together. I didn't want to run the company. So it was one of those scenarios that people were looking for a potential exit strategy, but they weren't sure how to make that happen. After we left that, one of the companies in that 6 was acquired by Rakuten. And one of the other companies came to me, and they were having a situation where the 2 partners just wanted to go separate ways and do different things, and we found a way to make that work. So that's how that came to be. We had already started building our bid miner platform at that time, which would help manage and run our campaigns. We acquired their campaigns. We kept their salesperson, and the other 11 people they had running search campaigns, weren't part of the deal, and we didn't take them.
Was it because the technology, basically, you didn't need that many people because of the technology?
Correct. So we've built technology to allow us to leverage and manage our search campaigns so that we don't have to keep layering on more and more people to make it work.
And that technology that you're talking about, Adam, that is an internal technology. People can't, like an agency or someone cannot use that or purchase it from you. Is that accurate?
That is correct. We've built the latest version of our bid miner platform with an eye towards the possibility of making it a SaaS model where any small business would be able to utilize it to manage and grow their campaigns. So we're building towards that direction, but we're also not the type of company that's set up to do that. So it'd be nice to find a partner who has experience in that space, who can help us get to that level. But our current build is set up that Imwave is customer number 1, and then we would just have to add on some different conversion tracking technologies that a small business would be able to utilize, so it wouldn't be so tied to the affiliate platform, and then our system would be able to grow and manage their campaigns in a very hands-off way. So that's the future idea. Right now, we're just using it as customer 0 and using it to manage our business.
Yeah, there was a guest I had on, so maybe an interesting conversation at some point. That I had Eric Huberman of Hawk Media, and they did that where they then offered a software solution that they were using internally. So I'll send that to you. Maybe a conversation is in store for both of you in the future.
That'd be great.
I do want to talk about Yazing for a second and what that is and why you started that as well, because you're busy enough with Imwave.
So luckily with Imwave, the first hire I made was my old business partner, Tony. And Tony, I hired him as our CEO, and he really helps me manage Imwave so that I can, focus on some other stuff. So I had this idea, being involved in the affiliate space for all these years, brands are sending coupons all the time and deals, and I had this idea that, for the most part, the average consumer doesn't have access to the affiliate programs. They don't have access to the commission rates. There are some cashback sites, I guess, Ebates at the time, who was acquired by Rakuten, where you could get some cash back, and they typically keep about 50% of the commissions for themselves. I had this idea that I could create a site where anyone could join for free, get instant access to promote any of the brands they want, and basically become an affiliate without having to try and join the affiliate network, try and join an individual programming. There's a lot of rejection involved in the affiliate marketing process. When I first started Yazing and applied to the Rakuten network, I guess Linkshare at the time, they rejected me because they didn't know who I was, and then I had to tell them, from Imwave and all the rest of it, and already had that relationship, and then get approved. So there's a lot of rejection that goes involved. And then once you do get accepted, then you have to understand the affiliate link structure. You have to figure out how to promote them. You've got to track down your commissions and make sure that you have all the payment stuff set up. So I set up Yazing. Anybody can join. Anyone can use it for cashback, get the commissions for themselves. We give 100% of the commissions that were offered for the affiliate channel. At the end of the day, when we send payouts, we keep a small 10% services and processing fee. So we basically keep 10% of the earnings. That's how we make money. But anyone can join. Anyone can use it for cashback, and anyone can promote any brand they want on the site. So when you're logged in, what you're looking at now are the shop to earn buttons. If you clicked on, say, Walgreens shop to earn, what you'll see is
like, I go to Walgreens all the time. I want to save money.
So this is the landing page that someone sees if you're not a member, right? If you are a member, if you join or log in, then in the upper right you'll see the commission rate that's available. And if you add to the end of your URL where it says Walgreens add /Adam, you'll see what it looks like if I had referred you to the site. So if you clicked on my affiliate link, which is my username at the end, now it shows up. It says, oh, you were referred by Adam. It shows my icon there, my little avatar, and it has that reward information rollover that says that I will earn commissions on these transactions. The page and deals are exactly the same. The user still gets the same deal. You're 20% off any coupon codes that are available. Most people don't understand there's a commission involved with every transaction on the internet. So all they're looking for is the deals. So now I've turned every individual into their own coupon code site. I market this page with /Adam. You'll notice that /Adam is gone from the affiliate, from the URL. But now it's shown here. So if you click shop now, that you'll then go to Walgreens. You can make that purchase. The commission will be earned, and the account Adam will get paid for that. If you put in the URL /Sarah at the end, then my wife would earn the commissions. And you'll also notice that when you come through this URL, there are no more links to join Yazing. There's no more sign up buttons. This is just a referral. And if you go to a different brand, it's still gonna be referred by that member.
So people can use it for themselves, or they can share with family or whoever they want, essentially.
Right. And what we want to do is make it available, as a platform for any, micro influencer to monetize any referral that they're going to make. Hey, you should go check out this deal at Walmart. Well, the average individual is not going to get into the Walmart affiliate program.
Right.
It's not going to happen. But they can market they can market Walmart today through Yazing. The only difference is that you have to land the traffic on our deal pages. Our deals are automatically fed in and updated every 20 minutes through a platform that we subscribe to make sure that we have the latest deals available. And then once we get paid by the brands, then we automatically send PayPal payments to our members. So all payments go out via PayPal. So we simplify the whole process.
Love it. First of all, Adam, I want to be the first one to thank you. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, your journey. It's been a crazy journey. And I want to just point people to learn more. And like I mentioned, you can go to imwave.com, literally the letter I, M, wave, or yazing.com, which is YAZING. So Adam, thank you. Thanks everyone for listening. See you next time.
Thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate it.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if